Pierre Merchant. In Thursday. Florida City Harriers.
Hey guys, welcome to the show Maraha and back to fitness number 36. Now that we have London City Marathon out of the way, done and dusted, just talk about the recovery after the race.
Sean Crusaders!
So I wore the Saucony Endorphin Pros for the race. It was my second run in the shoe. The first run had been the half marathon that I did in Fairyhouse. That was my first run out of the box in these shoes, and I had absolutely no issues at all. Second run then was London City Marathon, 26.2 miles. Absolutely no issues at all whatsoever. There was one period late in the race where the soles of my feet felt quite hot. But to be honest with you, no matter what shoe you're wearing, when a marathon kind of goes astray on you, everything's going to be hurting. But it was only for a little short period and it went away. Maybe it was a bit of downhill that I was on or something like that. But other than that, absolutely perfect. Absolutely no hot spots after the race, no blisters, no busted toenails. The main reason for that, one is the shoe is a good fit for me. But the second reason is I actually went up a half a size from my original pair. So I had been running in a pair of size 9s, and this is a 9.5, and that's in UK. The reason was in those shorter races or runs that I'd done, say up to about half marathon in the other one, I could start to feel that little bit of a squeeze on the toes. So I decided to go for the 9.5 then for the actual marathon, and it worked out really well for me. So after the marathon then, so I finished the marathon on a Sunday, and by the Wednesday I was actually back jogging. I was able to run the 2 miles, drop my daughter to school and ran home. Now I'd have to say I was glad to get home, in that when I was finished the 2 miles I was oh thank God, but I was able to do it no problem. The legs worked quite well, and then for the couple of days after that I ran every day and just increased the distance ever so slightly, and not trying to run hard or fast or anything like that, just to get legs, blood flowing back into the muscles, get the legs moving again, and that worked really well. And I've just been tipping away since. There was one day on Tuesday I did a small bit of a tempo in regards, like early in the morning after dropping my daughter to school, I ran back towards home, but then there's a loop I did and I did 4 miles at a steady pace. Now I was clocking in the 650s. Breathing wise and everything was quite comfortable, and the legs were working quite well, but you could feel like that the legs weren't fresh. But considering it was just over a week since I did the marathon, that's totally understandable. So now we're going to move on to today, and what we're looking at is the Autumn Open cross country in Abbottstown. So that's the national cross country course for Athletics Ireland, and every year they have an open cross country race, and athletes come generally from Ireland and the UK, generally further afield you don't really see it, but you get some top guys from the UK coming over for this. I think there's pretty decent prize money for it. But they have a senior section and they have a master section. Well, I'll be running the master section, but we'll all run in the same race. Now, it's a 1500 meter loop, 5 laps, 7.5k. I'd always joke with the lads, I wouldn't get out of bed for anything less than that in cross country, because I just do not enjoy running 6k cross country. A lot of races are 6k cross country and it just doesn't do it for me. I like doing 8k and 10k, and they look at me like I have two heads. Back in the day they used to do like 12k in the senior. I'd actually prefer that, and I think there's a race somewhere over in London every year they do 15k in one of the big parks over there, a 15k cross country race. That's something I'd like to try and do sometime in the future. But 10k, 10k cross country for me, I really I actually enjoy it. So the thing at the moment is that this is really only a training exercise or a training run for me. I know it's a race and I'll try, but I'm more concerned about getting benefit from this rather than trying to go out and race and then blowing up and just struggling to finish it. I want to go out and run a really good steady race and nice and consistent, like you would do in a track session or in a tempo run or something like that, to keep everything nice and consistent. So generally when I'd run a race like this, I would wear a trail shoe in a cross country race, because the spike shoes are harsh on the body. Plus I just ran the marathon, but the thing is, I haven't run a cross country race for 2 years and I'm really looking forward to it. And there's something kind of cool about pulling on your spikes, something kind of cavemanish or something about it. So I've decided that I will wear my spikes today. I'll just show you quickly. Like, that's my new Cascadia, with your beautiful grip on the sole there and loads of cushion and what have you. So that would be actually a quite nice shoe to run in today on the course. But the dynamic of the way you run would be different to what way you will run in a spike shoe. And these are my old New Balance spikes that I've had for years, and as you can see, they're ripped there. And the other one, the other foot, is even worse. They owe me nothing. I've had them for years. I've ran tons of races in them. As you can see from the last time I wore them, I never cleaned them, as most people don't do. So what I need to do is get these spikes out and transfer into these beauties. That's a Saucony Havoc. Now, I bought that shoe probably, you're talking the best part of 2 years ago, and it's still brand spanking new. So what I need to do is take my spikes. I usually go with a mixture of 9 and 12, especially for this course. There's some sanded parts of the course, there will be some decent running on it as well, but the course was designed specifically for cross country, so there won't be any really hard ground on it, you know. But I'll be knocking it out in these guys today. So let's give it a go, see how we get on. I looked up my time. I ran it, I think I checked it earlier in the week. It was either 2015, 2016, and it was an actual 8K race on the course, and I ran like 30, 35 or something like that. So you're talking about 605, 606 a mile, 607, something like that. Just over 6 minute mile pace. Not going to get anywhere near that today. With the shorter course, 500 meters less, if I even get anywhere near that time, I'd be very happy. So just to get around in one piece and to get a really good workout for the lungs and the legs is the aim for today. So let's go.
That's it, well done.
Oh, two Crusaders.
There, Daddy.
That's it, Mick. Good man.
I saw two Crusaders. Mum, I saw two Crusaders.
You're doing great, Mitchell. Come on, Mitchell. That's it, Luke. That's it, Carl. Well done, Shane Healy. Come on, McKenna. Come on, McKenna.
That's it, Kane. Good man, Kane.
Well done, Brendan Murphy. Well done, Kylie.
Well done, Michael.
Well done, Crusaders. Well done, Ger.
That's it,
Well
Aaron.
done, Aaron. Keep it steady. Well done, Elias.
So Kenny, there you go.
Good man, Brendan. That's it, Brendan Ling.
That's it, Jez.
Well done, Jez.
That's it, Sean. Well done.
That's it, Sean. That's it, Mel.
Hey guys, I am buzzing. I am absolutely buzzing after today's race, after today's cross-country race in Abbottstown. It was, getting back to basics, real racing, Forget about the time, forget about the pace. Man on man, just getting out there and racing, guys. It was just so enjoyable. Now, like I said, I raced it a couple of years back and I'd ran 30, 35, and it was an 8k race that day, and it was a 7.5k race today. And like Mo was saying, I'm nowhere near in the same shape I was back a couple of years ago. And I said if I'd ran this similar time for 5k, 500 meters less, I would be over the moon. And what didn't I go and do? But actually run the exact same time that I did. I think it was back in 2015, 16, one of those 2 years. And I ran 30, 35. It's mad, but it happened. You know, it's a sign for me really that things are going in the right direction, because I could have ran another lap, no problem at all. I'm not a speed merchant. I'm just a chug, chug, chug. I can just keep plugging away, plugging away, plugging away. And the longer the distance is for me on a cross-country race, the better. And the more I enjoy it, the more of a challenge I find it. Like I said before, jokingly, I said to the guys I wouldn't get out of bed for 6k cross-country. It's just not long enough for me. But today was just, it was a small pity in a way in Abbottstown that the race or the event wasn't the size it normally is in regards to the amount of competitors. But still, it's like a reawakening or an opening again of racing, of competition, of that main thing for club runners. What we strive for is to find that thing, that moment or that day, that all the hard work and all the effort and the sacrifice is worthwhile. That it seems, well, it's always worthwhile, but you really gain that benefit. Whether you run the best race of your life, or you run a PB, or you beat someone who you've been striving to beat for years, but you walk away from an event and you're just buzzing and you're really enthused, and it gives you that drive to keep going and keep going. So as you can see in the race, there was a couple of athletes that I kind of got into a battle with. There was two guys from Crusaders, one I know really well, Carl Walsh, and the other chap I never met before, Elliot was his name. And then there was another chap from Raheny Shamrocks, and his name was Michael or Mick. You pick it up as you go along with the crowd cheering, like. But the four of us had, in the last 2 laps, had a real battle to and fro, passing each other on hills, on the flat. Some guys are better on the hills, some guys are better on the flat or the downhill, some guys are better in a bit of muck. But it was really enjoyable, and we battled it out over the last couple of laps, and it was just, that's what made it really enjoyable. That kind of, you know, that battle, that effort, that pushing yourself beyond where you think you can push yourself, and to not die.
That's it, Carl. Well done. That's it, Crusaders. Well done. That's it, Sean. Last dig now. That's it, Raheny. Well done.
Pierre Merchant in third place. Galway City Harriers. Thomas McKay.
Hey guys, I am buzzing. I am absolutely buzzing after today's race, after today's cross-country race in Abbottstown. It was, you know, getting back to basics, real racing. Forget about the time, forget about the pace. Man on man, just getting out there and racing, guys. It was just so enjoyable. Now, like I said, I raced it a couple of years back and I'd ran 30, 35, and it was an 8k race that day, and it was a 7.5k race today. And like Mo was saying, I'm nowhere near in the same shape I was back a couple of years ago. And I said if I'd ran this similar time for 5k, 500 meters less, I would be over the moon. And what didn't I go and do? But actually run the exact same time that I did. I think it was back in 2015, 16, one of those 2 years. And I I ran 30:35. It's mad, but it happened. You know, it's a sign for me really that things are going in the right direction, because I could have ran another lap, no problem at all. I'm not a speed merchant. I'm just a chug, chug, chug. I can just keep plugging away, plugging away, plugging away. And the longer the distance is for me on a cross-country race, the better. And the more I enjoy it, the more of a challenge I find it. Like I've said before, jokingly, I said to the guys, I wouldn't get out of bed for 6K cross-country. It's just not long enough for me. But today was just, it was a small pity in a way in Abbottstown that the race or the event wasn't the size it normally is in regards to the amount of competitors. But still, it's like a reawakening or an opening again of racing, of competition, of that main thing for club runners. What we strive for is to find that thing, that moment or that day, that all the hard work and all the effort and the sacrifice is worthwhile. That it seems, well, it's always worthwhile, but you really gain that benefit. Whether you run the best race of your life, or you run a PB, or you beat someone who you've been striving to beat for years, but you walk away from an event and you're just buzzing and you're really enthused, and it gives you that drive to keep going and keep going. So racing is really kicking off everywhere around the country at the moment, which is great to see. But in today's race from my own club, and there was a 5K in Butlerstown in Waterford City there this morning as well, and it was a load of guys from my club running in that as well. There's two people I really want to single out, and first of all is Brendan Ling of Striders, my own club, who was 6th overall in the over 45s today, and is in consideration for the Irish team for the internationals. Like, so congratulations to Brendan, and fingers crossed that he makes the selection. And second of all is a youngster in our club who's making unbelievable strides. He's so dedicated and he's so excited and keen with his running. Thankfully, his father, who was an excellent runner himself, Alan, is keeping him on the leash and keeping him going in the right direction. But you can see as time goes by, young Adam is turning into a fine runner, and he broke 16 minutes today for the first time for 5K. I think Adam is 18, thereabouts, but he's been making gradual progress. Rather than making huge jumps, he's constantly improving, and that's the way to do it. It's not about running a big, huge PB and then not being able to follow it up. You see with young athletes, like, they'll have spikes, troughs, but the great thing with Adam, fair play to him, he's doing what he's been asked to do by his coaches, and he's improving at a really steady rate. So big things for the future for young Adam O'Connor from New Ross. Now from my own experience from running over the years, a season of cross country is vital for every athlete, whether you're a track athlete, whether you're a marathon runner, or whether you like to do the road season where it's the 5 and the 10Ks and stuff like that. It's absolutely vital, because you get strength and resilience built up over a cross-country season that you will not get anywhere else. You can go into the gym as much as you want, you can cycle, you can swim, you can do all that really good stuff, but to get out into a mucky field and to run up mucky hills and to slog it out, you won't get that benefit from that type of running anywhere else in any other activity. There's no replication for it. So I haven't really had a good cross-country season for a good few years now, and it looks like this year I'm really going to get the opportunity to do that, and that makes me really excited. And today is the start of that for me. So today, and I have a list of races now that I'm going to do between now and January, and really get as much cross-country in as I can. And at the moment, like, we're looking at the super shoes being put to the side, because it's running in regular shoes now, in training on the grass, and then wearing spikes in cross country. So it's all about building that core strength and building the strength in the legs and the balance, so that when we go back on the road in February and March, that you'll just be pinging along. That you'll be so used to running through the slop that when you actually go out and try and race on the road, you'll be like, oh my word, this is easy. Not that it's ever easy, but you get a huge benefit from cross country. So if you're an athlete who is maybe even not a member of a club, but wants to improve their running, doing a few cross country races over the winter will really benefit you. And it'll open you up to a different side of running that's a little bit more raw, a little less less pressure in regards to trying to run PBs or running at a certain pace or what have you. It's more getting A to B, and just whatever happens, happens. Sometimes you might get a little bit mucky, but most of the times you have a smile on your face at the end of it. Now, wherever you are in the country or around the world, I hope your running is going really well for you, and that you're training hard and you're doing all the good stuff, and that you're staying safe. And thanks very much, guys, for tuning in to me babbling along. But that's this week in fitness number 36. Thanks, guys. Take care and stay safe.